Holding company, which operates very specialized ships and is highly profitable in the midst of a market in crisis. Holding A had a bad child. The bad child was a subsidiary that owned Panamax ships, and it was the wrong time to have Panamax ships. So these gentlemen, what they did is they did serial redeliveries of long-term time charters. They were speculating in the market. Instead of going up, it went way down. They redelivered them. They left a trail of debts and unexpired time charters of duration of 2-3 years. So owners with claims came to lawyers, and the lawyers said, okay, we're going to attach the 60% interest of Holding A in the vessels that are owned by the subsidiaries of the asset holding. Thank you. So we started attaching vessel 1, vessel 2. They wanted to let them go, so they put their hand in their pocket. They gave letters of undertaking. They were letters of guarantee, actually, settlements. But everybody saw this path, and everybody started attaching the ships. So they needed to do something, and they came up with a defense, and they said, we no longer have any interest in these ships. That's very curious. We went to the country where the management was, and we took discovery by court order in one of the cases. And this is the very, very first time I heard it in my life. They told us that there had been a change in the ownership structure, a restructuring of ownership. And I thought, what does that mean? Sounds like a Marxist kind of redistribution of property idea. It was not. What they did is they collaborated with a lending bank. The bank held a pledge of all the shares of the holding company. Holding B paid a ridiculously small amount of money, bought all of the shares. The 60% shareholder apparently got nothing, and his interest was approximately $240 million, a quarter of $250 million. And then the court actions were frustrated, and you could not go after the new owners. You could not go after anyone because it was in different ownership. This was not court sanction. It was a private arrangement. It cut off the road for people to get paid. So this is the restructuring I wanted to talk to you about. It's the restructuring of ownership. The NewCo takes over all of Holdco's assets, leaving unsecured creditors without any recourse, and leaving the secured creditors with their security and loan repayments. Obviously, it takes collaboration on the part of the financing bank. Restructuring of ownership is not restructuring of debt. It's not about waiver of covenants, extending repayments that I mentioned earlier, or even selling off tonnage that is not profitable. It is a planned transfer, an insulation of assets, and it is designed to leave unsecured creditors without any recourse, while the equity holders of the restructured company keep their equity in their pocket and their financing bankers get paid. Very, very quickly, the way this is accomplished is this. First, they make a new holding company, a NewCo, and the NewCo has NewCo SPVs under it. They are completely virgin companies. They have never been in any kind of business. Then you have, with the blessing of the banks that are behind schemes like this, a seemingly arm's length transaction, and the tonnage is sold to the NewCos. There is financing by the same banks. All of the formalities of actual sales are followed. You have MOAs, you have new mortgages, you have new loans agreement, and you even have transfers of money from bank to bank to pay for the purchase. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that, of course, is the owners who have had long-term time charters with entities like this are left holding the bank because there is nothing to attach, there is nothing to get. No recourse. Another step is ring-fencing of assets through a maze of corporate entities and nominee directors. If you reach the bottom is a trust, and the trust is operated by someone who is not allowed by law to speak, and you never get to it. You can never prove anything this way in court. And then, of course, you have premature deliveries, unpaid suppliers, they get nothing. That's why I put there a canon, είναι το κανόνι. Πέφτει το κανόνι, and everybody is left unpaid. You cannot go to court, you go to your London arbitration, and you have an award if you pursue it. If you're foolish enough to pursue this to judgment, you're going to get a judgment or an award for $3.5 million, $4 million. What are you going to do with it? It's not worth the paper it is written on, because you can't go after the NewCo, no connection. The English court is not going to pierce any corporate veils, and besides, they're all in offshore jurisdictions. You can't find them. The end result is the unsecured creditors get nothing.
Like power. Classic asset stripping exercise.
Now, the value of the security is still in the assets, whether these are ships or they're anything else. If I was advising someone from my post in the United States, and I knew their tonnage, the restructured tonnage, was sailing around, and I had done my investigation properly, I would advise them to apply for a Rule B attachment of the asset. The Rule B has the advantage of giving you a toehold on jurisdiction, and you can get security to let the ship go. Conditions are that the debtor is not found in the district, you're not going to find them anywhere, and that there is an asset in the district which is the restructured ownership vessel, or other property, tangible or intangible, be they shares, debts, they're all attachable. American Admiralty courts they have the power to look behind surface representations in order to preserve their jurisdiction. because they're not in the business of making moot judgments, uncollectible judgments. So they can set aside fraudulent transfers and enter a judgment against the new co and the old co, and the asset that has been attached is how you satisfy it. They also can pierce corporate veils. They can authorize very intrusive discovery, and they can show up, the lawyers of the opponent can show up, of the claimant can show up in the opponent's office, wherever that may be, and take depositions, have documents produced, etc. Another way is for the court to consider the old co and new co to be the same under what they call successor corporation liability. They consider these sort of arrangements to be a de facto merger, or they consider the new co to be a continuation of the business of old co, or they can rule that this is an arrangement that was created in order to defeat the claims of creditors. It's similar to Greek Civil Code Article 479, μεταβίβασης ομάδος περιουσίας. Thank you very much for listening.